on this computer. All right, yeah. This is Kevin Mann. He is joining us today. Took some time off of work to be able to talk to us about what he does with coding. He's gone through college. He's got a real job. He's got a family he's supporting, and gets to do computer science on a daily basis. And so he's going to talk to you guys about kind of how he got here and what some of his projects are and what it's like doing coding for a living.
Cool. Well, I think this is my 4th Zoom meeting today. So apparently I don't code that much now. I just go in meetings, but not 100% true. But yeah, so a little bit about me. Are they doing that worksheet? Are you guys doing that worksheet? I want to make sure I answer all the questions on here so you guys can get the worksheet done. But yeah, I'll first start off by telling you a little bit how I got into programming and what kind of interested me in it. So back when I was in junior high, I was in a math class that we needed to use our TI-83 calculators. I don't know if you guys have had to use those calculators yet, but they're calculators that you can do enough that you can make a game, you can run a game on it. And so you can program on the calculator. And so that was my first introduction to programming. And I didn't make any games on it. I kind of just made programs that would solve problems that I needed to do for my math class. And that was in junior high. And then I didn't program too much after that, like in high school or anything, but in college, I got interested in computer science again and decided that's what I wanted to do. And it's been a really good decision for me. I've really enjoyed it. So I went to school at Utah State University up in Logan, Utah. And I actually live here still up in Logan. And I have been working now full-time as a programmer, as a developer. I think so I graduated in 2015 from college, but I was working for a couple years even before I graduated. So it's been about 7 or 8 years that I've been working as a programmer. And what's a cluster? Sorry, which cluster and pathway contain their job? So what does that mean?
Oh, so it's basically, they've taken all the careers and they've divided them into different pathways that students can get into. So there's like a technology and engineering pathway and a business and marketing pathway. And within the pathways, they have a bunch of pathways to get to specific careers, and then they have clusters of related careers that like kind of go together. So as far as you answering that question, don't worry about that. I'll explain it to them.
They should know that. Cool.
Afterwards, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so my current job, I work for a company that makes software that makes the immigration process easier. So immigration, getting all your paperwork done if you want to go work in another country or you want to become a citizen for a different country. There's a lot of paperwork and a lot of, it's kind of a hard thing to do, and it's expensive. And usually there's lawyers involved to kind of help with that paperwork. And so our software, what we do, it's a platform that simplifies that whole process. And so the name of the company is called Simple Citizen. And that's where I work, and I work on that platform that we have that makes those processes easier. So, oh yeah, let me go back to my education real quick. Sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit, but I did computer science at Utah State. I think I mentioned that, but that's normally a 4-year degree. So I did it in 5.5 years. Most of the time people do it in 4 years, but I changed my mind a little bit and bounced around doing other stuff, but eventually finished. And we've already got questions coming in the chat here. Let me jump. I can answer that one real quick. Juan Martinez, do I do my own business? So I have done some freelance stuff on the side here and there, but that's not my main source of income. My main source of income has always been a job working for another company. My current job, Persephone White, how long have you been at had your job? At my current job, I've almost been there 2 years. So, but before that, I was working at another company for about 5 or 6 years. Awesome. I was going to get to that one. Atticus Zweig. They're going through the worksheet stuff. They're helping me out here. Let's start with that one. What happens during a typical day on your job? So I mentioned that I have had 3 Zoom meetings today. That doesn't always happen, but we are working right now completely remote. Everyone is working from home because of COVID. And so we do have to have meetings fairly often to coordinate and kind of know what everyone's working on. My position right now, I'm a team lead over a team of 4 there's about 4 of us on this team. And so we have a certain part of the application that we care about, that we are working on and improving and fixing and making sure it's working correctly. And so day to day, I'm making sure my team knows what they need to be working on and making sure that if they have any questions, I help them with issues they run into with their code. And then I also have some of my own issues that I need to work on and features and bugs and things that I'm working on. So when it comes to coding, I'm working in JavaScript and Python. Those are the 2 languages I work with for this company. And I use a Mac, an Apple MacBook Pro computer, and I sit in my basement and I try and code stuff when I'm not in meetings and doing other things. So that's kind of my day-to-day. Yeah, the chat here is kind of exploding. Let me back up a little bit. Who do I work for? Reese, I work for Simple Citizen. How much money do I make? Juan, I'll just give you an idea of what people make when they graduate, or they can make, and then an idea of what people might make after a few years of experience. So if you were to graduate tomorrow with a computer science degree and get your first job, you could honestly, it can vary a lot, but I would expect anywhere from like 60 to 80,000 a year, which is pretty good starting salary. And with some experience, you'll easily you can get over 100,000 for sure. So what is my favorite project I have worked on? That's a really good question. So let me talk a little bit here about, like, I kind of started off telling you what got me into programming, and let me go back into that a little bit. So it really is just fun to me. So when I was a kid, I would play with Legos all the time. They didn't have Minecraft back then. I'm sure I would have loved playing Minecraft if they had it. But I would build things with Legos, and I would try and like build things with wood. I was always trying to build things. And when I really got into coding, I realized, it's the same thing. I'm building something for fun, really. And it's just really satisfying when you're able to create something that works and can be useful. And so my favorite project, like, honestly, it's like hard to just pick something, but like I've built some apps, some iPhone apps that I've had a lot of fun working on and building. Has anyone heard of Lovesac? It's a company that makes those big beanbag chairs. Raise your hand if you've heard of them. Okay. Well, if you go, a bunch of you have. So if you go into the Apple App Store, Lovesac has an app that it was mostly me that built, and it lets you design a couch using they do couches now too. And so that was a really fun app to build, where you can kind of build a couch within the app. And so right now, maybe that's my answer. Maybe that was my favorite one, but I've done a lot of things that I've really enjoyed working on. So what's my favorite thing about my job? It kind of goes along to what I was just talking about. I think it's just fun to solve problems with code, to create solutions with code. And so like, when I can get into a problem and I can come up with a good solution and get it working, that's really exciting to me. And it may not sound exciting when I explain it like that, but it really is. To me, it's really satisfying to figure out, to come up against a challenge or a problem and find a solution. Where did I go to school? Simple Citizen. Where did I work? I went to school, Utah State University. Where do I work right now? Simple Citizen. And do I want to own my own business? Maybe one day. I don't know. That's a good question. I will say, if any of you are interested in starting your own business, there's been so many founders of successful companies that have done computer science. You might think going into business would be the right thing to study at school, and it's not a bad thing to study. And sometimes you may need to study some business, but like computer science is a really good stepping stone if you want to start your own business, because you have some of those technical skills to get your business started. So lots of founders of businesses have technical backgrounds, including computer science. What do I use for my job? Programming language wise, I mentioned JavaScript and Python are the two languages I use. I use a Mac computer. What do I really do? I think I already touched on that one. So job title, where did you go to school, typical day. Have I ever designed an original game, Jack? That's a good question. I have dabbled in game development a little bit when I was going to school. I've never done it as part of my job. It's always been for fun on the side that I've done game stuff. And I think it's really fun to do stuff related to games. But I guess the answer is kind of no. I haven't really done a game that I could let you guys play or anything like that. And what apps? I mentioned the Lovesack app I built. I've worked on other apps as well. My favorite piece of code. I don't have a favorite. My favorite piece of code is the piece of code that helps me with what I'm trying to do at the time. James has a Lovesack sweatshirt on. That's cool. And there's so many questions. Oh yeah, what's my least favorite thing about my job? So I think I don't know. I really do enjoy my job. There's not like anything huge that bugs me about my job. I'm not like upset about something really. Like it's a good job and I enjoy it. So one thing maybe is like, it's not so much on the coding side of things. Like anything, if I'm in code, if I'm working on a technical problem, like I'm happy. But when things get tricky when you're dealing with communication with your team, like lots of Zoom meetings, like I mentioned, and trying to understand what the business needs, like what we need to work on as far as engineers go to help the business, understanding those types of needs. People problems, I guess, are maybe, I can't think of anything really specific right now, but it's like those are harder problems, I think, than even the technical problems. computers are easy. Like they do what they're supposed to do, right? People are a little more, can be tricky to deal with sometimes. So I don't know. That's a really vague answer, but when it gets more frustrating when things are when you run into communication problems and between teams and stuff. So, but even then, that's not. I still enjoy some of that too. And also that which of these skills are needed to work at this job. So, like I was just talking about. Obviously, you need to have technical skills if you want to work as a programmer. You need to know how to code. But I've been involved in hiring different people for the team I work on, and at my other job, I've been involved in hiring people. And I think for the most part, on the hiring decisions that I've been a part of, we will pick someone who is good at, communicating and talking and working with a team, and someone who's easy to get along with. We'll pick someone like that because we know that they can improve their technical skills. Maybe their technical skills aren't amazing at the moment, but we know that can improve, and it's harder to teach kind of the people skills. So what skills are needed? Obviously, you need to have some technical skills, but also being just an agreeable person and being able to go with the flow and be someone that's good to work with. That's also really important. So what is the hardest thing I've ever done? Oh man. I don't know. I can't answer that one right now. What is the hardest thing I've ever done? It's really vague. Sorry, Juan. What is the most interesting thing you do in my job? Oh man, you guys ask good questions. Let me skip that one for a little bit, Marin. What changes have you had to go through because of COVID-19? We switched from I was working remote, sometimes in the office and sometimes remote from home. But now with COVID, everyone's remote. And so that's a big change. But it hasn't been too crazy. We use Zoom a lot. So we've been able to kind of work through that. Where did you go to school? Utah State University. How has your career changed since you've been working? Martina, technologies change a lot. 1 year ago, the way we did things might have been a little bit different than they are now. 2-3 years ago, they're definitely different. The way you work and the tools you use change a lot, but the programming concepts don't change too much. So you do have to keep up to date with the changing tools and the technologies that are out there that you need to use for your job. But if you have a solid base, of how to solve problems and how to program, that stuff doesn't change much. What's a typical day for you at work? Have you made an app? What do you code with, like the software? So yeah, like an editor. I think Atticus is asking kind of what editor I use. So I've used Visual Studio Code, VS Code. I've used Sublime Text Editor. Currently, I'm using IntelliJ, JetBrains products for all my editing, for my code editing. What do I enjoy my job? Yes. What is my job title? It's senior full stack engineer, I guess. Senior engineer, something like that. Am I in my office right now? Yes, my basement is my office. Okay. What are my personal goals with coding? Right now, I have 2 goals that are not work related. One is to learn another programming language that I think sounds interesting. It's called Elixir. So I keep telling myself I need to go look into Elixir and mess around with it. And another one is related to making a game. I want to build a game. It's like I want to build sort of like a Mortal Kombat type game. I don't know if you guys have ever played that. Maybe, but it won't be as violent as Mortal Kombat was. And Jack, I like this question. What is an example of when you use the skill of problem solving? I think sometimes we run into bugs that happen with software that we've already written, and we have to go back and try and fix that bug. And that can be sort of a pain, but at the same time, it's kind of really, I think it's kind of fun to track down what happened. And maybe it's code that I didn't write, and maybe it's someone else wrote, but I still have to go back and fix the bug. And it's just kind of like a puzzle, really, to go back and try and track down what's happening and see what's going on and how to fix it and not make new bugs at the same time. So it's kind of fun doing that when you can figure it out. Sometimes it gets frustrating, but that's part of the challenge, and I think that's part of the fun too. Reese, don't apologize about all the questions. They're good questions for the most part. I can't keep up with all these. They're coming in fast. I think I've touched on everything in the worksheet though. How do I know Mr. Twining? You're my cousin, right, Kurt? Cousin-in-law.
Yeah, Melanie's your cousin.
Yeah, cousin-in-law. So yeah, we're cousins, you could say. And do you need to be able to work on a team? Yes, that's really important. Rarely will you ever be a one-man or a one-woman programming team. When you do that, you're just working on something for yourself, really. And that's kind of fun to do sometimes because nobody else can tell you how it needs to be done, and you don't have to worry about what other people think. But if you want to make money coding, at some point you're going to be working on a team, and that's fine. Teamwork is a part of life, honestly. Like any job you go into, there's going to be teamwork. So, and okay, I think we have a lot of repeat questions coming in now at this point. I think I've gotten through most of those. Yeah, I think that's it. Any other questions? Reese, do I want my own business? I think I touched on that one. Yeah, sorry. I think I'm done now. Kurt, do you want to jump in with anything?
You talked about problem solving and working with the team. Have you ever had like an instance when you were working with someone? Because I know these guys in junior high, and you know how that works. When you get assigned by the teacher, you work with this person, you're like, I don't want to work with them. And you like really just butt heads. Have you had any of that with coworkers where you're just like, this is not working well?
Man, nothing major, like nothing that we couldn't resolve, I think. And so, yeah, I'm trying to think, like when you do run into disagreements, you just got to be willing to talk about it and keep your cool and get through it, because that's, you can't just, when you're working on a team at work, like you can't just be reassigned, to someone else. Like, you got to get through it. So, I've always been able to work through that stuff. So.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for agreeing to come talk with us and kind of pull back the curtain, if you will, as to what it's like to have a career with computer science. That's pretty exciting that you're continuing to learn new languages and to develop the game. And is that something you're thinking of just doing on your own then, or are you gonna try to get some friends to work on it with you?
I just want to build it myself. And I'm going to make it run as a browser game. So if I get it done, if and when I do, I'll send it to you, Kurt, and you can let your class play it. So it might be a while.
Awesome.
It's just kind of one of these ideas I've had for a while, and I need to sit down and work on it. So.
All right. Well, we appreciate it. Thanks again. And we will let you get back to work. And maybe you'll get some
Okay.
coding done instead of
Yeah,
just
maybe.
a bunch of Zoom meetings.
Yep. Okay. Hey, thank you. We'll see you guys later. Thanks for your questions. We'll see everyone.
Peace. Bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.